there's the big question that is Amazon going anywhere? Are they becoming a thing of the past?
Yeah, there's this narrative right now of like, is it day two?
Exactly.
Is it finally day two?
And I don't think it is.
I agree.
Because I think that there's still those type of innovations that people aren't looking several layers deeper to figure out what's the strategy here. And that convenience piece, if they continue to innovate around that, they have long-term value for decades to come.
Here's a question for you, because something I've been thinking a lot about. I agree that for the company, it's not day two. I think the stuff that they're doing in services and retail is just getting started, streaming, a lot of the stuff we've talked about. For the core e-commerce business, is it day two? Like, do we expect a significant amount of change and innovation there, you know, in the core business itself? Or is that just sort of like, it is what it is, we're trying to make it a little bit profitable, stable, we'll hit our 15% year-over-year growth rate?
It's difficult to say, because I think that some of what you're saying resonates, and you know, I can't speak to it too directly, but there's some things that I saw that are indicators of, you know, let's squeeze blood from the stone. Yeah. And let's continue to focus on profitability, and how, you know, there was a lot of remarks from former Amazonians that, you know, there is no innovation anymore. It's optimizing for BIPs. Yeah. And we're optimizing for BIPs. We're doing these things in order to kind of continue to drive what we can from the existing business, as opposed to growing and innovating. But, you know, going back to our conversation, things like the in-streaming shopping is going to change it. Yeah. And they're thinking about these things. They're ahead of it. And one of the, you know, sort of modalities of Amazon is that they think about, let's invest in 20 different things. Yeah. And 5 of them will land, and in the next 5 years become a viable revenue driving
it's basically the venture capital model.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, internal.
Absolutely. And they do such an amazing job at it. I think there's a lot of chatter about Amazon continuing to cut jobs, and I think it's all people who don't understand the long game. Yeah.
No, that's interesting. I think, you know, the sort of the paradigm that I'm starting to kind of land on here is that, like, the core e-commerce business may be becoming a business that doesn't look that much different 3 years from now than it does today. Yeah. But all of the other things surrounding it, which, by the way, if you're approaching this from a brand perspective, like, that's the stuff you really, like, you need to optimize the core, which is you need to be operationally proficient, you know, all the kind of, you know, fast track stuff, all the basics. But then where you want to innovate is the places where Amazon's focusing on the innovation as well. You know, advertising, streaming, physical retail, these things that kind of surround this core, you know, business that at some point may just run into kind of, you know, the law of big numbers. And it kind of gets to a size where, like, they do just start optimizing for bits. But then to gain leverage from the brand side, you focus where they're focusing, kind of the fast-moving, innovative parts. So
here's my guidance to you: is if you ever wonder, is e-commerce over? Or have we tapped out? Which we know the answer to. But you just have to ask yourself, as a customer, where is there room for growth? And think about things like your own delivery.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think, like, online grocery,
it's been teased, like, there is still so much. Yeah. If we just think about our expectations and putting on, you know, the most finicky customer hat possible, there is so much room for growth and innovation.
I agree.
It's not over.
I do look at some of the categories that were sort of later to the game in e-commerce, like grocery, like fashion. Yeah, and I look at that and go, there's a lot of room for improvement here. And I'm like the ultimate e-commerce, you know, fan. I really genuinely don't like shopping in stores. I try to buy everything online. And, you know, groceries is, like, oftentimes an experience that leaves a lot to be desired.
There's so much more we can do. I've thought about a lot of big ideas around smart products and integrating sort of like this digital experience of, here's my fridge. Yeah. I can log on Amazon, see exactly what's in there, integrated to my smart fridge, and know when to automatically reorder things through visualization.
Yeah, and I mean, there's the sort of, you know, using avatars and scans and stuff in the fashion realm. I feel like that is something that is going to happen in the next couple of years. Yep.